Hi friends, good morning. 6 o'clock here on your Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. We are trucking along, closer to the weekend. Hi everyone, I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Channing Curtis. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick is getting us ready for the day ahead by telling us what we need to wear because, Thomas, it is cold.
Yeah, I made sure to grab a jacket that was going to keep me warm in the car.
There's a lot of blue.
Yeah, and it's not just the blue, it's like that cyan blue, which is usually representing 20s, and that's where we have a lot of our area temperatures this morning. If you're looking ahead at the weekend, I don't blame you because the weather should be much nicer by then. But here we go this morning. Do you still got that hat handy? You might need it as well. I foregone the hat and was regretting that decision this morning. Look at all these 20s that are hugging the state line, from Colville 25, Deer Park to 21, to Musco at 27, and everywhere in between. It is a frigid and frosty morning. Emphasis on frosty, because if your car's parked outside, you'll need a minute to scrape the frost off the windshield. Looks like there's snowfall for western Montana, so if you're heading past Lookout Pass towards Missoula, you will run into that. Most of that action is on the other side of the state line. Precipitation-wise, though, like yesterday, spotty rain showers, maybe some graupel into the afternoon with high temperatures still hovering in the 50s.
Well, we are taking a live look at the U.S. Capitol this morning, where in just a matter of hours, Boeing will face scrutiny in two separate congressional hearings. Now, this comes as safety concerns continue to rise for some of their most popular models. That includes the 777, the 787 Dreamliner, and the Renton-built 737 MAX.
So Boeing is trying to salvage its reputation just as federal regulators take a hard look at its safety culture. Washington Senator Maria Cantwell leads the first hearing today. The Commerce Committee will hear from members of the FAA expert panel that looked at Boeing's track record. Its final report found, quote, a lack of awareness of safety-related metrics at all levels of the organization. So this comes with less than 1 month left on a deadline for Boeing to deliver a report to the FAA on how they will fix their systemic quality issues.
Now, the second hearing will feature testimony from a Boeing whistleblower. The former Boeing engineer is expected to testify about concerns over the manufacturing and assembly of that 787 Dreamliner. Boeing has insisted that the 787 is safe and that the planes have been stress tested. Those back-to-back hearings start at 8 this morning. Well, the city of Spokane is now joining a lawsuit against manufacturers responsible for PFAS. So this morning, our Brandon T. Jones is joining us live from outside of City Hall and has been following this story for us. So Brandon, why is the city joining this lawsuit?
Yeah, Channing, ultimately this means that Spokane, much like what we've seen out in Airway Heights, has discovered some type of PFAS levels in water systems within the city limits. So with that, they are now a part of this larger lawsuit that was initially filed under the South Carolina Attorney General last October, and they list 11 causes of action, including product liability and negligence against 3M, DuPont, and other manufacturers of what's known as the Forever Chemical. According to the city, last year they were seeing low levels of the chemical at the Ray Street well near Ray and 23rd Ave, and the Grace well at the city's water department on the North Foothills. While most testing levels were below state limits, the city said one production well exceeded the new federal standards, which were finalized last week. Mayor Lisa Brown did release a statement about the lawsuit, saying protecting the health and safety of Spokane's residents is our top priority. By taking legal action against these manufacturers, we are holding accountable those responsible for polluting our drinking water. The city director of Public Works agreed with that statement and also chimed in, saying that they ultimately want to continue to work on behalf of the residents in Spokane and make sure all of their drinking water is safe. But for now, reporting live here at City Hall, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
2 years after hundreds of Freeman High School shooting victims delivered emotional impact statements in court, they might have to do it all over again.
So yesterday, a court vacated the shooter's sentence and ordered that he be resentenced.
The memory of it has not faded. I hear the shots, and I see the students rushing into my room to get to safety.
At 15 years old, I thought I was going to die in a classroom full of my best friends.
I heard gunshots as well as one of my classmates screaming in horror.
The high school shooting happened 7 years ago. One student was killed and 3 others were seriously hurt. This had an immense impact on the small Freeman community. Altogether, victim impact statements took weeks to complete before the judge sentenced Caleb Sharp to 40 years to life in prison. But that sentence was vacated because Washington law says the maximum sentence for a crime committed while under 16 years old is 25 years in prison. Our chief journalist Amanda Rowley has more to this story, explaining what we might expect from this resentencing.
As you can imagine, this process is the last thing the Freeman community wants to go through again. The date for Caleb Sharp's resentencing hasn't been scheduled yet, but when it is, the case will return to Spokane County Superior Court.
2 years ago, Caleb Sharp pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and second-degree assault. The Washington Court of Appeals says his 40-year sentence tied to the first-degree murder conviction is too long. This is based on state law the legislature updated last year. It says anyone convicted of aggravated first-degree murder for an offense committed before the age of 16 shall be sentenced to a mandatory minimum of 25 years in prison. Sharp was 15 years old when he fired a gun at his Freeman High School classmates in 2017. The Court of Appeals document filed today says the state agrees the current 40-year sentence exceeds the updated statute.
Whenever there's a resentencing, it's really difficult for victims, for victim family.
Retired criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Feiner recently represented a defendant in their third resentencing earlier this month. Right now, Washington state juvenile sentencing laws are in flux, which he says makes it challenging for attorneys and judges to keep up.
I don't know if we've seen the last of the amendments, but each resentencing multiplied by the dozens and dozens across the state, I think puts a burden on the court and the families, but justice has to be served.
The memory of it has not faded. I hear the shots and I see the students rushing into my room to get to safety.
At 15 years old, I thought I was going to die in a classroom full of my best friends.
Victim impact statements during Sharp's first sentencing lasted weeks. The Spokane County Prosecutor's Office says while we may hear these statements again, they may not be scheduled as long.
Now, there are still many questions about what to expect in this hearing. Former Judge Michael Price is presided over this case, and he's now retired. The Spokane County Prosecutor's Office told me it's too early to say if he will return for the resentencing or if the case will go before a new judge. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
It is 6:08 right now. Let's take a look at your morning rush. More news in less time. This morning, Washington state is officially in a drought emergency. Now, a drought is declared when the state has less than 75% of the normal water supply. Right now, we're at 68%. Washington did have an exceptionally dry winter, leading to a low snowpack, and forecasts are calling for a dry and warm spring and summer. Colville tribal elder Frank LaFontaine has died. A licensed attorney, LaFontaine served as a judge and an investigator for tribal issues all over the state for decades. He also wrote 2 books about alleged monster sightings around the region. He was 76 years old. Spokane police arrested a woman who they say hit and killed a man with his own truck. According to police, this happened last Tuesday near West Sunset Frontage Road and South Grove. Police say the victim, 70-year-old Gerald Fox, offered a ride to a woman who was walking along Sunset Highway. That woman, 27-year-old Alyssa Bray, stole Fox's car and intentionally hit him with it, killing him. She's been booked into the Spokane County Jail on charges of murder. Her bond is set at just over $1 million. Well, today the Post Falls and Athol libraries are reopening after damage forced them to close more than 3 months ago. You might remember this damage was all caused by some burst pipes that happened during that January cold snap. Services will still be limited, though, as this is just the first step to getting them back into full operation. According to our news partners at the Coeur d'Alene Press, it will cost nearly $700,000 to fully repair both libraries. And that's a look at your morning rush.
Time is 6:10 as we take a look at our forecast for today. There will be another chance of these spotty rain showers during the afternoon, though this morning would technically be cold enough to snow, wouldn't it? Our temperature is well down to the 30s and 20s. You really won't find any snow unless you're heading eastward into Montana. That is where Doppler radar is showing most of the action. Just a little bit of a disturbance that's centered over Missoula. A few of those snow showers have trickled into Shoshone County, mostly around that Silver Valley region. So Kellogg, Pinehurst, Wallace might be seeing a stray snowflake or two this morning, though the rest of us definitely off the hook there. But in the afternoon, today and tomorrow, those spotty shower chances return. We'll show you what hours that will be most likely for these next 2 days before we get to a warmer and plenty dry weekend.